Hour three of Brian's Beat. Glad to have you today. I have mentioned it ad nauseum. A very, very busy day here on Brian's Beat with plenty of sunshine. And I don't know what it's going to be like for the rest of the weekend and going into Monday. I heard talk of a nor'easter, but the storm is brewing politically. As you know, during the summer and fall, the Coalition for Social Justice was behind a move to get the minimum wage raised to $15 an hour. They were successful in that campaign to get the required signatures. They also were behind an effort to get paid family and medical leave for each employee. Now it's up to the legislature to make a decision on whether or not to move forward. If they don't, then the coalition under the umbrella of Raise Up Massachusetts will go out and get extra signatures to make sure that the minimum wage and the paid family and medical leave questions are on the November 2018 ballot. This weekend, there's a big kickoff around the Commonwealth to get the legislature to move so basically Raise Up Massachusetts doesn't have to. One of the meetings is being held in New Bedford at Carney Academy in about 2 hours. And to talk to us about that is the regional coordinator for Raise Up Massachusetts. She's in studio with me right now. Her name is Anabel Santiago. And if you go to our YouTube page at WBSM 1420, you will notice that Anabel is very photogenic, videogenic. Good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian.
Glad to have you today.
I'm glad to be here.
Great. So, in my mind, you guys went out and got the necessary signature, and I know the proper protocol is for the legislature to make a decision or maybe no decision on your potential ballot questions. But, to me, the legislature is busy, 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 sometimes busy doing nothing or doing things that we don't want. Why not just let the voters make the decision on paid family and medical leave and the minimum wage?
So, Raise Up has two different strategies. We have a ballot strategy where we would like to get the two questions on the ballot and let the voters decide. But our legislative strategy is different, and it's important because it lets the legislators put in their 2 cents. And we are also meeting with the business groups, and they are able to put in their 2 cents, basically.
Business groups don't really want this, though, do they? Especially the minimum wage.
Well, there are many businesses that support both initiatives that we've had testify at hearings that we had for both issues. So I guess there are some businesses that don't, but there are businesses that do support this and are backing us with these two initiatives. But right now also is we're having we are in negotiations with the business community and the legislature, and we're in the room and we're talking about paid leave.
When you say you're negotiating, it sounds like union contract time. You've got the question, why do we need to negotiate? Or what are we negotiating?
Well, it's, I guess it's in the details. I don't know exactly all of the details of what's going on in the negotiations, but it's basically how the program is going to be set up. How can we make it easy for businesses who already have paid leave programs, or putting it basically in line with the policies that they already have, so that it's easy to go from the policy they have now, which is the FMLA, to paid family and medical leave.
So let's stay on the topic of paid family and medical leave. The ballot question would do what?
So the ballot question would implement a paid leave program, and it would include up to 16 weeks of family leave and up to 26 weeks of medical leave. And it would include a 90% wage replacement, and the payments that would go into this program. It would be set up sort of like an insurance program. So the payments that would be going into this program would be 0.63% of workers' weekly average income, basically.
What if a worker doesn't want to pay for that? Are they forced to pay for it? Is there an opt-out provision?
So I believe that there is no opt-out provision, but one thing I want to mention is that the payments will be able to be split between the employee and the employer. So the employer can have the employee contribute up to 50% of whatever their cost would be, basically.
And if this is all cut and dry the way that you just said, what's there to negotiate? What sticking points would a legislator have? I understand that Representative Cabral is going to be there, along with Representative Markey and a couple of folks from the Fall River area. It's either a yes or a no, isn't it?
I mean, with the paid leave program, again, I don't know all of the details, but it's just basically in the structure of the program. We're not really negotiating the time and the things that I had just mentioned that are going to be on the ballot, but it's basically just the structure of the program. How can we best implement it?
There are many people working for companies right now as independent contractors. If you're an independent contractor, you wouldn't be covered under this, would you?
So we are pushing to get paid family medical leave for all workers. So we want to include independent contractors. We want to include people who work at small businesses.
But if you're an independent contractor, you're not on the regular payroll. You get issued a check and maybe a 1099 at the end of the year.
So with independent contractors, I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but I know that there is also going to be an opt-out choice, basically, for independent or small business owners or people like that, basically. But they're going to have the option of being part of this program because we don't want to leave anyone behind. Basically, everyone falls into hard times where they either need to take care of a family member or they themselves get seriously sick or injured and they need to take this extended time off of work. There's people who have to choose between taking care of the family that they love and then keeping the job that they need to pay their bills. So there's tough decisions that people need to make. So it's like we want to make sure that everyone is included in our paid leave program and we're not leaving anyone behind.
We're talking to Anabel Santiago. She's the regional coordinator for the Raise Up Massachusetts Coalition. They're having this meeting over at Carney Academy starting at 10 a.m., basically strangleholding the lawmakers to either make a decision, or if they don't make a decision, or the decision that the organization wants, they will then move forward with their ballot question. If you have a question for Anabel, the number here is 508-996-0500. If you're going to be using your smartphone, go to our WBSM app and you can actually watch us through the video segment on the smartphone app. So, the minimum wage, that has been discussed ad nauseum. It's my gut feeling that you don't really need the legislature to make a move in this particular case, because in my brain anyway, it's a foregone conclusion that the voters would vote in a $15 minimum wage. Not that I agree with it, but it seems like the ball's in your court. Sure, you can talk to the legislators, but if they don't want to budge, or if they want to put their own little wrinkles into it, you go out and get the additional signatures, and then bang, I think it's going to pass.
Exactly.
So why not just let the voters make that decision instead of the legislators?
I mean, I guess it has, well, you know what? I haven't really thought about that.
Well,
But
here's why I think about it, and certainly with the marijuana issue, no matter how you feel about it, they changed that around. But if they more or less agree with the ballot question, it gets passed and then it takes effect. If you allow them to come up with something and it becomes etched in stone over a 2-year period, you might see it watered down. Don't you worry about that?
well, again, if they don't do what we are asking them to, then we're going to put it on the ballot. If they are trying to get legislation passed that doesn't go hand in hand with what the people that we are going out and speaking for to that want this to pass, and different organizations and group in the Raise Up Coalition, then we are going to put it on the ballot.
I think it's I think it's a foregone conclusion that you will win. I might be wrong. I hope I am, because quite frankly, why does every person? Why does the high school student need a $15 minimum wage? I can understand the senior citizen who still needs to work because there's not enough in the retirement nest egg. But what about that starting job? Why can't that be $12 an hour, $12.75, $13.25?
So again, it's the same thing with paid family and medical leave. We don't want to leave anyone behind. When we start carving out people in different groups with the minimum wage, it basically puts in this dynamic and puts out like this message, like we can start carving different groups out. With teenagers who are in high school and college or working minimum wage jobs, like a lot of these teenagers are helping their parents and are helping their families pay the bills, put food on the table. And then another thing that I want to mention too is that if we create a sub-minimum wage for tip workers, the seniors that are applying for these jobs are then getting replaced by the teens.
Well, the seniors replaced the teens.
Well,
in the first place.
Yeah, but if we had the sub-minimum wage, basically it would be cheaper to hire teens than the senior citizens. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen, and then teenagers will then get discarded as soon as it's not like cheaper to hire them, basically, too. So,
well, what does that say about the employment climate? Employers can look around and say, well, I can automate that. And look, when the minimum wage went up to $11 here in the Commonwealth, how long did it take before McDonald's started bringing in more automation? Don't you fear a minimum wage raising up automation throughout the Commonwealth?
So I just wanted to mention, when we rose the minimum wage from $8 to $11 an hour, since June 2014, our state economy has actually added 150,000 jobs, and our unemployment is at its lowest rate since the Great Recession.
But are these full-time people, or are these people that are struggling? They're making less than 30 hours, so they don't qualify for benefits. See, we can play with the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't doubt unemployment is down. You don't have as many people going to the unemployment office to file for benefits, and those that are working, they're getting 10, 15 hours a week, maybe some that are getting 20. How is that really? It is helping, but does that really make your case?
Um, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the
So
question?
no, I'm an employer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're putting all these benefits into a program and say they don't take effect until I have workers that are working 30 hours or more, I'll go out and hire 2 people to work that 30 hours, but not one of those employees is making 30 hours to qualify for the benefits. So that's happening more and more. You keep on raising the minimum wage, they'll just hire another person so they don't have to pay that overhump.
I uh, I don't have it.
Well, that's fine. But what I find quite often is many an organization can't respond to the reality. This is what's happening. Yeah, unemployment is down. The mayor said that during his State of the City address. But when you look at the people that are working, yes, they are working. They are gainfully employed. They're getting 10, 15, 20 hours a week. And they're also getting their food stamps. They're also qualifying for Section 8 housing and all of that. How is that helping all of us?
So when we increase the minimum wage, basically, going basically how this helps businesses, for example, higher wages mean that there is more efficient workers and like less employee turnover. So it makes it sorry, it makes it easier to recruit and retain workers.
Think so?
Yeah.
So if you're only working 15 hours, so let's say 15 hours times $15, that's $300 gross pay. You're taking home somewhere in the area of $240, $250 a week. You're not going to be out looking for a better paying job, maybe 15 times 40 hours, or better pay but only work the 15 hours. People need to make money.
Yeah, I understand that, for sure. I mean, I guess, it's studies have shown basically that what I just said, that higher wages make for more efficient workers and less and less employee turnover. If you go on Mass Budget, you can see the research that has been done for that.
And I agree with that. But there's a big thing missing. Higher wages times 40 hours a week, yeah, you're more likely to stick around. But if you're only getting 20 hours and you need more for your family, you're going to be searching. I want you to hold tight. I've got to take a break. I'm going to open up the phone lines here at 508-996-0500. Toll free, 877-996-1420. The meeting today starts at 10 a.m. over at Carney Academy. And we head over to the WBSM newsroom. That's where Jim Phillips is at 8:30 with the latest WBSM news. Good morning, Jim. In studio with me is Anabel Santiago, Regional Coordinator for the Raise Up Massachusetts Coalition. There is a meeting today at Carney Academy starting in roughly an hour and a half, 10 a.m. They will be meeting with elected officials on why they need to vote to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and also make the family medical leave paid for each worker here in the Commonwealth. and talking to me about that is Anabel. You really think this is important, don't you? All the other issues going on, this is important.
Yes, it's important for us to uplift our workers here in Massachusetts. A lot of people here are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling. They're struggling to put food on the table, making tough decisions like, should I pay the rent or should I buy my medicine? Should I put food on the table, or should I pay my kids' college bills? And a lot of people can't even afford to pay their heat, afford the rent, or any other of those basic needs. So, and that's wrong. We need to have a living wage, for people.
And people can't earn a living wage, is what you're telling me. So it seems the cream rises to the top. And if you throw everybody together, then what's the need for a worker to really put a lot of effort in? I'm still going to get paid $15 or the minimum wage. It seems to me those great employees always get paid a little bit more, whether we're talking athletes or somebody that's working over at the King Burger.
I mean, one thing that I want to mention is when you're getting paid minimum wage right now and you constantly have this like stress in your mind of, oh, I can't even afford to live. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I can't support my family the way that I'd like to. It's like you have this stress going on, and maybe sometimes you can't deliver because of the stress that you have from working 40, 50 hours a week, working full time, and then the struggles that you have with trying to just like maintain your family. So it's like, if we respect workers enough to give them that living wage, then we take away like the struggle that they're going through at home. Then we're giving them the opportunity to be like, okay, now I can support my family on this living wage.
We've heard this time and time again, whether the minimum wage was $8.25 an hour, $11 an hour. $11 an hour was going to do it. Now it's $15 an hour. How long will it be after it hits 15 that you'll be talking 18 or 20?
Well, one thing about the legislation, about the ballot question, is that once it goes up to 15, we want to make sure that each year after that it's indexed, so that it goes up at the same rate as the cost of living after that. And
why not just come out with a separate bill that indexes it right now at $11 and then let it progress like that? I think either way you're going to win. I think the voters are dumb enough here in the Commonwealth to just vote it in the first place. But why not just index? Why didn't you have that index with the $11 an hour raise?
So when we were fighting for that minimum wage increase back then, when we were trying to put it on the ballot, when I say we, is Raise Up, we actually were asking for $10.50 an hour, and we wanted the indexing. But the legislators decided that, okay, we'll give you $11 an hour instead of the $10.50, but we don't want to do the indexing. And it's basically they want to be the ones to raise the minimum wage and say, hey, we're on labor side.
Hello, Isn't that what I was saying before? You're having this meeting. They made the decision. They're indexed, but you guys can't be indexed. I'm not for this, but I think I would rather have the voters say yes to it than the legislature, because day in and day out, what I see with our legislature is they do their very, very best to screw folks over. Ready for a call or two?
Sure.
508-996-0500. Hello, you're on with Anabel Santiago.
Good morning, both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Annabelle, that's your name?
Yes.
Annabelle, hi. I'm wondering if any of this has been discussed with small business owners as far as their perspective on raising minimum wage up to 15.
So we have small businesses that are part of Raise Up and that have had testified at hearings for the minimum wage, for both minimum wage and paid leave, and that have been in support of raising the minimum wage.
Okay.
One example of a business is, I believe it's called Juliet's, up in Boston. Yeah, Juliet's up in Boston. I know that there's some businesses. I don't know exactly all the names of all the businesses that support, but we do have small businesses that are with us on this.
Do you? I wanted to bring that up with you because it seems like that is being left out of the whole conversation. There's a lot of hopes and dreams. Yeah, I'd love to get $15 an hour. But what about attacking this from a different angle? How do you get to that $15 an hour without, making everybody happy? Like me, I've been in a business almost 20 years, and I've worked my butt off to get up to where I'm at. And now you're asking government to force my bosses to pay the new kids closer to what I'm getting. So there goes my raises. Why don't we attack this a different way and lower the cost?
What's your way? What's your way?
What's my way?
Yeah, you said a different way. Do you have a different way?
Lower the cost of goods and services.
Okay.
Lower the cost, the taxes of these things, the regulations on these things, and so smaller businesses can afford to pay people better. But to tell government, to give government more control, I don't agree with.
Got you on that. Let's hear from Anabel on that. Thank you for your call.
I'll let you go.
So I'm not sure how to respond to the lowering the cost of like the goods and services, but I do want to mention basically how you said that where basically having your boss raise the wages and pay people the same amount that you are earning, who you've been like with the business a longer time. So with that, I want to mention that apart from the people who are going to be directly affected by the increase of the minimum wage, who are making less than 15 now, they're going to be directly affected by this increase. But I know Mass Budget did a research study where they show the percentage of people of middle income households who are also going to see an increase in their wages as an effect of the increase of the minimum wage.
I would love to see how that's going to work. $15 an hour. There are people that make 15 right now. Am I to understand when that minimum wage goes up to 15 that the folks that are making 15 are going to see a bump? Is that what you anticipate? Is that what Mass Budget thinks will happen?
Yeah, so Mass Budget says that there's a percentage of workers who are making 15 or over 15 that will see an increase.
Is that a large percentage, a small percentage?
I believe I don't have the study right in front of me, but I believe it's around like 18%. Around it's based off of the salary that people are making. So depending on the salaries, you will see the indirect percentage increase. Yeah. Basically,
I understand that you're talking about somebody else's research, but I don't know that I would feel comfortable with something like that.
Yeah, and of course, I'm not saying that everyone's going to see that indirect increase.
I think the person that's been doing that job for quite some time, and they came in at 15 because they had some skill. Now they're going to see unskilled labor come in, and they're going to say, well, what the heck's happening to me? And I don't know. This smells like bloodbath, but maybe not. Let's continue. 508 996-0500. Thank you for your patience. You're on with Anabel Santiago.
Is there opportunity for a second bite at the apple?
You know better. But I appreciate it.
Well, I had a good question.
I believe you, but thank you.
But real good.
I bet it was. Thanks. I don't allow people to call twice in a show unless it's a specific type of show. And you're a nice person, but not specific. I do want to ask a question. You had mentioned that there were some small businesses that are on board. Any idea what the percentage of the small businesses that are on board with raising the minimum wage and going with the paid family and medical leave compared to those that aren't interested?
So I don't know the percentage, but I can get back to you on that.
Well, that's fine. Are you willing to guess that more than half would not be interested?
I don't want to make guesses.
I mean, that I don't know.
Or assumptions.
If there's a business owner, an employer listening to us right now, and you're going to be making this type of decision, would you be in favor of the paid family and medical leave or on the opposite side of the street against it? 508-996-0500. What do you think the legislators that are coming in today are going to say, or is it one of those things that they're just listening to what organizers like yourself or any of the minions that happen to come in have to say?
So the way that the program is structured for the event today is basically the first half hour or so will be people from our community speaking on how these campaigns directly impact their lives and sharing their stories with the legislators and other constituents of Greater Fall River and Greater New Bedford area. And the second half of the program will be legislators giving their positions. We're going to be asking them if they support a $15 minimum wage or paid family and medical leave for all workers of Massachusetts. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they stand on it. So I mean,
my guess is, judging by the four people that you have mentioned to me that will be there, they probably support it. They may not support it the way that it is for all people. Want to take one more?
Yeah.
508-996-0500. Hello, you're on with Anabel Santiago.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
With all due respect to Annabelle, I find this the most ridiculous argument I've ever heard, and I can't believe the state of Massachusetts is going to do this. In my industry where I am, when I started out, I made a third of what I make right now. 30 years with my company, I'm making 3 times what the guys who start in my company make. And with all due respect, the guys who start out, for the amount of labor that they do, they don't work half as hard as I do. That's why I make more now. And to sit down and tell me that we're going to pay people who work at Dunkin' Donuts a wage of $15 an hour for the amount of work that they do, when those jobs were not made for that. The whole problem with this is, for too many years, we've ignored small businesses and growing the companies. We have people settle into these double part-time jobs, where if we just focused on letting the industry take off by itself, getting rid of some of these ridiculous rules and regulations that they have on them, entrepreneurs would start. But for over 20 years, we've stifled them. That's why there's no full-time jobs. There's less and less full-time jobs, and people have to do part-time jobs.
Thank you for your call. I'm going to let her answer and then go on to another caller. Annabelle?
I mean, I definitely respect that you've been at your job for quite that time, and I respect that also the fact that you've basically worked up to where you're at now. I also respect the fact that anyone who is working a full-time job, working 40 hours a week, working 50 hours a week, and busting like themselves off, basically, they should be able to afford the basic necessities. And right now, with the $11 minimum wage, a lot of people are still struggling.
Well, that's what we heard before, and that's why we raised it to $11. You know, it's gonna keep on going and going and going. Why don't we go on to another caller? Hello.
Morning.
Hi, you're on with Annabelle.
Good morning, Anabel. I think you're doing a good job. I think the problem is people don't understand that the minimum wage was established as sort of a baseline for a person to survive. And the cost of living has gone up exponentially since, take the 1950s, for example, when a person could have a fairly, like an average paying job and sustain a whole family with one wage. And now since then, cost of living has skyrocketed and wages have gone up at a glacial pace. And now you have people that do jobs that, need to be done, right? These are jobs that people are working 40, 50, 60, sometimes 70 hours a week doing one or two jobs, and they're hovering around survival. They're getting basic amenities. I mean, apartments nowadays are upwards to $1,500 a month. Now, it's not, I understand the argument about skilled labor versus unskilled labor, but their anger shouldn't be at the people at the bottom trying to claw up to a higher living standard. They should be angry at the capitalists and the CEOs who constantly drive inflation so that they keep their profit margin.
Well, the capitalists are the ones that are making the jobs, aren't they?
Well, they're making the jobs, absolutely. But when you say, think about it, right? When you say the minimum wage goes up, the prices are going to go up. Why are the prices going to go up? Is it because the Boltons of the world are suddenly going to be looking where their next meal is going to come from? No. It's because they want to make sure that they're making still 350 times what their bottom workers make. I mean, it's like, take the last call, for example. I understand that he's raised his position in life and he's worked hard and everything, but he's probably still underpaid for the work that he's doing. Yet his ire seems to be directed at the person on the bottom who wants $4 more extra dollars an hour so that they can afford to, I don't know, maybe enjoy life slightly more than they are right now. I mean, the animus towards people who are just trying to get by in a world where the lower class is ballooning, and it's insane to me. It's not. It's not even about the person at Dunkin' Donuts. It's about trying to make life better for the bottom portion, which is unfortunately a huge portion of society right now.
We got you on that. Thank you very much for your call. Time for one more. You're on with Annabelle. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been listening to your program. My name is Mike. I just moved to Massachusetts from North Carolina, and this would only be entertained up here in the North. And it's outrageous that the state would consider such a wage increase for unskilled workers. It gives them no incentive to go out there and get a job that would pay $15 an hour. These jobs at Dunkin' Donuts or at McDonald's, fast food, they were never intended to be lifelong jobs. Those are jobs for teenagers who are living with their parents. This is going to affect small business terribly. People try, and those are the ones who provide jobs. I would hate to be working with someone who makes $15 an hour, and I'm busting my ass, and they're sitting there. They know they're going to make $15 an hour while they're smoking cigarettes.
All right. I only because of time. I appreciate the call, Annabelle. Can you answer that in about 30 seconds?
Yeah. So I want to mention that the percentage of teenagers, the percentage of people that are teenagers that will be affected by the minimum wage is only 10%. So that means 90% of people who are going to be affected are adults who are trying to support families. And another thing that I wanted to mention too is when we think about the minimum wage, we're only thinking about, the people working at fast food jobs at Dunkin' Donuts. But there's people that have actually gone to school, tried and gotten certifications, nursing assistants and paramedics, for example, that even after getting the education that they thought would basically help them develop and earn a better wage. They're making minimum wage.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I know what you're saying is true, but sometimes that goes back to, well, maybe you should be really looking at what the future is for that particular position. 10 o'clock today, Carney Academy. Can anybody go?
Yes, everyone's welcome to come. It's open to the public. We're starting at 10, and it's from 10 to 12, so I hope to see you guys there.
Well, thank you. Anabel Santiago, she is the regional coordinator for the Raise Up Massachusetts. Again, that meeting starting at 10 over at Carney Academy. Ken Pittman, he's in the house.